Hi, my name is Melanie Thorley and this is MJT Law's tutorial on information, I guess, more of an informational tutorial on internships and volunteer work. There is a lot of questions around whether someone should be paid for doing volunteer work. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump onto the Fair Work Ombudsman's website, see what they have to say about it, and we're going to have a chat about it. Okay, so we're going to go intern and Fair Work Ombudsman. Oops. And we're just going to click on that first one up there, and here we are. Work experience and internships. So this is about when you should be paid, yeah? And look, it's really interesting. A lot of companies will bring an intern in, not pay them. It could be a day, it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be months, it could be a year. But unpaid work experience and internships are only okay if it's part of a student or vocational placement. Now we're just going to click on this. I'm going to right click. We're going to jump into it. What this means is you are in a identifiable course. You're doing a course somewhere, and during that course you have to take a vocational placement, and that placement is not going to be paying you to go there and do that. Now it must be part of an educational training institution, yeah, and there must be no entitlement for that employee to be working, that student to be working. So that's what that means. What that means in kind of reality. If you, for instance, law students have to do a placement in order to satisfy the requirements to receive a practicing certificate. They have to do some practical training. That's called practical legal training, the PLTs. One has to do it for a certain amount of time. Usually it's at least a month, sometimes it's longer. 72 days, I think, is a number that comes into my head. So if you are on your PLTs and you have to do your placement, you have to find a volunteer job in a law firm for the amount of time that will satisfy the course requirements for you to pass that course, and then do the next thing you need to do in order to get that practicing certificate. And that is the same here. Unless you're on a student placement or there is no employment relationship, now I'm going to step aside that one because that's a big question, then you should be getting paid for the work that you're doing. So let's use an example. You are a film and media student. You're really excited about getting that first job. You have finished your degree and you are looking for that job. And you and 2,000 other media and film and media students, you call up a media company and they go, I tell you what, I don't have any work for you, but why don't you come in and come in voluntarily and as an intern, we'll give you something to do for a while, and if you fit in, we'll give you a job. Unless the work that you're doing at that company is work that a paid person wouldn't usually get to do, then it's unlawful. You should be paid for that work. The benchmark is if the company would normally employ someone and pay them to do the job that you are in there doing, then you should be paid for it as well. Look, it matters whether the time matters in these things. For instance, it's okay if you work for a panel, if you are taking an interview for a panel beater and they say, we want to figure out whether you can do the job. We have a door that needs panel beating. Go ahead and do that. We reckon it'll take a few hours. Off you go. And you get your gear on, you get your tools, you go over there and you panel beat for 2 or 3 hours, half a day. And you're not paid for it. It's part of the job interview. That is actually okay. But if they get you in there for a week, for instance, to do the panel beating, just to trial you out, you should be getting paid for that trial. So there's lots of things that happen and in employment that could be unlawful. But if you're in volunteer, working somewhere, doing work that a person who would normally get paid would do, then there's going to be some challenges there. Yeah. So we think that it's really important that you stop and think about this. Look, I'm not saying that you should be turning down potential work because you don't want to be in a situation where you're telling this employer that actually this is paid work and you're not doing it unless you're getting paid. But the lawful reality is that could be actually the case. Really it's about balancing out the need for the requirement. So you need a job, they require you to do a particular job in there. It's just kind of balancing that all out. If you think that there's something hinky going on, you've been there for a few months, you haven't been paid, basically you took over the job of someone who's left and now you're not getting paid for it but they used to, there could be an underpayment issue there. Places you can go and speak to your employer about that. You can speak to the Fair Work Ombudsman, or you can give someone like us a call and we can have a chat with you about whether or not it's sensible to not be paid for this particular thing. Hopefully you've got a little bit more of an understanding about this. We do have a session on international students as well. If you have a look at our YouTube channel, we would recommend, if you are an international student and you feel like there's something a bit weird going on, have a look at the international student one as well and get a feel for that too. The other thing that you might want to think about is if you're getting paid very little. Oh, they're giving you a small amount of money just to cover your expenses to get in and out of the city, for instance. We've got a YouTube tutorial on how to calculate your salary or your wages. Take a look at that as well. That might give you an understanding of what your minimum rates might be. But for now, unless you're working somewhere because of an institution or educational facility that's part of your placement, it's a placement that's part of your education, it is possible that you're not receiving entitlements that you should be receiving. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful for you today.